And now.
And now, right now.
And now. Oh my gosh,
Are we
man.
live yet?
Oh, I think we're live.
Okay.
Hey, wasn't I gonna build a video that would kind of kick this thing off to where it would
Uh,
be like, are we live?
no, it's way funner to be confused and be like, we live yet? Live yet? I think we're live.
All right, man, let's do this. Guys, welcome to episode 107 of the Drag Driver Pete Show presented by Summit Racing. Huge show tonight. I got to get another word other than huge because it just keeps getting more huger. This is going to be crazy. Cravin Cars podcast hosts are on to discuss the upcoming Mega Week, and they basically call Flying H Drag Strip home. So it's going to be kind of fun to learn a little bit about that. Jeremy Ortiz and Justin Yeager are on here. They are the streetcar bragging rights wild class winners in one of our favorite Nissan 240s, probably our second favorite Nissan 240 on the planet. Fresh off of that win, and then we're going to dive into some Mega Week stories. And for the folks who are listening to this for the circuit, 2025 hotels for Joplin went up today. I sent the email earlier today, and we're going to have a special guest, not on the show tonight, but at the circuit. We're going to talk about in a little bit. Mr. Eric White, please hit that intro video and let's get to this thing, man.
All right, let's do it.
All right, guys. I know this is a night that we're not typically on, and the reason is, are you ready for this? Adam Dory, Chad Reynolds, and Matt Frost will be on tomorrow night on Adam Dory's channel, and most likely on the Rocky Mountain Race Week channel too. I would think for a live Q&A session tomorrow night. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to. I'm going to be participating. I'm going to be asking questions in the chat and just going to be watching. It's going to be a lot of fun to see. I'm sure they're going to tell stories. They're going to tell history stuff. They're also going to talk about Mega Week, which is like it's the biggest drag and drive in history ever to have ever happened. So it's going to be nuts. And I hope you guys will be there to watch it. And that's why we are on Tuesday night for this week.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get into this thing, guys. My name is Mike Narks. I'm the host of the Drag Driver Pete Show and News, which happens on Saturday mornings. The Drag Driver Pete Show is we basically 2 hours here, man. So get comfortable, get ready. We're going to be doing this for a little bit. My right hand man, Mr. Eric White over here. Tell him what you got going on, dude.
I am Eric White, co-host of the show and the news. Everything Drag Drive Repeat related, a lot of artwork and video intros and you name it, anything that needs to be done. I help with that. The circuit, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The artwork that you see, racer profiles there, and a couple other events out that other promoters are putting on, do artwork for them as well. So definitely stay busy and run a couple channels myself when I have a little bit of free time. It's Motorsports Paparazzi and 815 LSX Swaps, which I just realized like 5 minutes before the show. Yesterday was 5 years of starting 815 LSX. So May 19th, 2020 was when that channel was created.
Dude, think about what was going on May 19th of 2020. Were you home?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Dude, there was a bunch. Man, I spent 16 months at the house. It's crazy.
Yep. I didn't spend that long, but it was just a few weeks. But that was kind of what started it all. And then we met shortly after that. So we met, damn near 5 years ago.
It's nuts. Also, big shout out to Destroyer 1320. He was kind of the one that put a lot of that stuff into motion. Who would have ever thought we'd have made it this far, man? It's pretty
Yeah.
cool. So,
Yep,
and
for sure.
you know what we couldn't do? We couldn't do that without our race car friends.
Absolutely.
That is for sure. Our race car friends make the world go round for sure, guys. Do me a favor, hit the share button as you come in here. Make comments, man. We're gonna have some fun tonight. This is it's gonna be a good one. I'm excited to kind of be interviewing podcasters because I think that's a really good way for us to help the community. There needs to be more people telling stories about car stuff, and when you start thinking about the 2 hours that we have here, we really have about an hour and a half to interview folks, and that's not quite enough time, man. So we need these other podcasters. So guys, do us a favor. Hit the share button, show more people this content here. And then while you're out buying those last minute car parts, because we race next weekend at Mega Week, try and see if these sponsors have the parts you're looking for. I want to say thanks to them: Summit Racing, Deech Works, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Howard's Cams, J Wire Solutions, WAF Racing, Performa Built Transmissions, Car Change 3D, Power Tube TV, who is coming up on a huge week or a huge next month for Power Tube, Sweet Patina, the best hand cleaning wipes on the market, and then Racing Junk Classifieds, the official buy sell trade of Drag Drive Repeat here, man. That list is a really strong list. There's probably not much you couldn't build with that list of parts right there.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, we need to find some tires and some suspension pieces. That's who we need to find next. Really, because we need to learn. Like that's really how a lot of these conversations start. Is we start kind of bugging these guys, and they're like, "Hey, we like what you're doing. We'd like to come aboard." So yes, Summit Racing, our main sponsor here, title sponsor for the news, the show, and the circuit. Summit Racing Speed Legacy began in 1968 as a one-man startup and is now the world's speed shop with 4 facilities and 200 plus catalog editions. Excuse me. They fuel your passion, save you money, deliver fast, and offer top-notch customer service for more than 1,500 brands. Make sure to download the Summit Racing mobile app for easy access to speed parts. Find them on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and on the On All Cylinders podcast, which they dropped a new episode this week. From humble origins to the social media lane, Summit Racing stands by your need for speed. SummitRacing.com for all your fun stuff that you're looking for.
You know it.
And then, sorry, I should not have taken that down. Drag Drive Repeat updates real quick. Huge update. I'm going to let you tell what we're talking about.
All right. If you want to flip that screen there, got pictures there. Those two guys right there are going to be bringing the Coors and the Cayman Jacks to Mega Week. So
Yes.
obviously, a big thing I wanted to do before confirming going to Mega Week was have a chat with the wife. Obviously, June is huge for all of us. So I refused to commit to going until I had a conversation with her. And shout out to her for, being supportive and, understanding that I am going to be missing a bunch of time in June. So I will be attending Mega Week and Six Summer and the circuit. So it's gonna be a lot. I think I was talking to you and we calculated a little bit. It was gonna be like over 5,000 miles for the month of June.
Yes. The one really good thing about this is you guys know I love video. Photos are not really my thing. I do take photos because I have to. We have to document that, right? But Eric is a photo guru. And so the good thing will be you're going to get both. You're going to get him and I both out there doing what we love, especially around 550 plus cars. This is going to be absolutely crazy. And one of the coolest things about Mega Week is that we're both going to be there. We're both going to be talking to different racers. We're going to get all the kind of stories. I think with the amount of driving we're going to do, we could really have a good opportunity to tell some stories while we're on the road as well. And so you and I were messaging, we're actually going to keep the show going and we're going to do a live show Wednesday night of Mega Week, probably right from the Thunder Valley Raceway Park upstairs, which I think we did last year, if I remember correctly. I can't remember. I think it was last year. You were at home. I was here. I was there. I think I had the camera pointed at the cars making passes. So it's going to be awesome, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm a little worried about how many pictures I'm going to take after drag week, taking 10,000 and twice the amount of cars going to be here. So,
Yeah.
But again, shout out to my wife because she got me a new laptop for Christmas, and that is going to help out a ton with editing because that old laptop I had just could not keep up with the photo editing on the road. So maybe I'll be able to knock out a bunch while we're actually at the event and save on the work that I have to do when I come back from Mega Week before I go to
Right.
Six Summer.
Well, and I think that's going to be good. And so my plan as of right now is to kind of maybe go the first day 0 and day 1 of Six Summer. So we'll get a chance to revisit folks up there. But I say that because I ordered specialty decals today, and I ordered enough that the first 5 people at the circuit, Mega Week, and Six Summer that we see, you're getting this special decal if you're wearing a Drag Drive Repeat merch of any kind. So race car friend shirts, the Summit branded Drag Drive Repeat stuff, the big brim Drag Drive Repeat hat. If you're wearing any of that, we're carrying around $20 bills, which is that is to me that's side. You know what I mean? Like we're basically paying you to buy stuff, right? But what really is you're getting this specialty decal that nobody you can't even buy this thing. Eric made it up. It's going to be awesome. I wish I had done a better job of doing photos on this for tonight of it, but I did get those ordered. They will be here on Tuesday, so we'll be able to talk about it next week in our Mega Week Mega Show and be able to kind of give a thing. So we're going to give a big hug. We're going to give people $20, and we're going to give them this specialty decal that you can't even buy anywhere else. So when we see that sticker around there, we're going to know those folks. Those are our people. Those are our race car friends. So I'm pumped about that. And then let's move into the circuits.
I actually do have one of those stickers right here.
Oh, lay it on me. Let's see it. I'm going to put you full screen.
All right, here we go. Might have seen these before, but check that out.
Yeah, buddy. Holographic, right?
Yep.
It's weird. It's reflecting the color.
Right? Yeah, pretty sweet though.
Yeah, that's exciting, man. I'm pumped about that. And I want to say just for everybody that's going to be doing that stuff again, we're going to see you. We love you. Thanks for being a race car freak. And then the Circuit 2025 updates. Oh my gosh. Waitlisters, rejoice. It's your time. I sent out some emails earlier. I intend to do some texting after the show tonight of folks that are next on the list. So we have 9 spots open. As of right now, I'm going to be working through those hopefully by the end of the weekend. I will typically give people anywhere from 8 hours to 24 hours, depending on the time of day that I reach out to them to see if they're going to accept that spot or not. Okay. So that's kind of the plan. Secondary, Web City Waffle House is hosting. Did I put a Waffle House in here? Yeah. Web City Waffle House, which is the town north of Joplin, which is 6 miles from the host hotel that we've got set up right now. They are going to host us. But I have a question. I'm going to make a poll in the Circuit Racers group later. Do we want to do a late night snack on Friday, or do we want to do an early breakfast on Saturday at like 7 a.m. before we race at MoCan on Saturday? So that's going to go up here in a little bit. They can do both. It's just, they're going to bring in so many more people to do that because it's not going to be mandatory for people to come to this, but I really want, 70 cars in the parking lot like we had with Springfield. Was it last year? Yeah. And that was awesome to be able to hang out and do that and spend that time with them and kind of get our day going. Now we are racing a little later at MoCan. We start at 10, so we could do 7 a.m. and get everybody in and out pretty easy. So big shout out to Waffle House. This is our second time to be partnering up with them. Big shout out to Billy Nobles, the Springfield, Missouri guy that hooked us up the first time. He has now hooked us up with Dominic in the Joplin area, Web City area for Waffle House for the Circuit 2025 round 2. So I'm pumped.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting for sure.
Dude,
it was a good time last time. We got cool photos like this.
Yeah, we're going to take it over. We're going to take over that spot for sure. And again, waitlisters, your time is coming. I promise. It has been a crazy time around my house the last few weeks. So we're gonna get ready and do that as well. Mr. Eric, lead us into some Driven Racing Oil event updates, sir.
All right, you guys know the deal here. Driven Racing Oil is the performance engine oil that can do it all. GP1 is the ultimate oil for any race or performance application, whether you're launching hard at the drag strip, enduring the extreme heat of off road and circle track, or even pushing limits in top fuel drag boats and demo derbies. Winning racers choose GP1. Compatible with engines from classic hot rods to cutting edge race machines, GP1's unique surface cling and high zinc formulation ensures superior wear protection, particularly for flat tappet camshafts, while solving issues like cylinder washout with methanol and ethanol fuels. Crafted from the legendary Bradford, Pennsylvania base oil, then enhanced with state of the art additive packages, GP1 offers the best in protection and performance. And drivenracingoil.com is where you can go pick up your oil or any Driven merch. And a Driven Racing Oil on Facebook and Instagram is where you can give them a follow, see what events they're going to be at. Obviously, they were just at Streetcar Bragging Rights. So if you want to know what event they're going to be at, maybe pick up some oil during an event, you can check them out on social media.
Sweet. Yeah, and then Hot Rod Hangout here saying after block party at Waffle House. That may be an option as well. That's kind of that's where the question's going to be. So
how many parties can we party?
Man, hey, people better sleep now because they're not going to get it while we're there. Well, let's talk about some events that are happening or maybe not happening. I did see today somewhere, I can't remember where, that Midwest Drags may be postponing their event. Don't have any other details other than they were reaching out to racers that were on the list already to talk about refunds or to do a postpone to 2026. So we will keep you updated on that. We'll see. There's nothing on social yet about it other than a single post made by probably a racer or somebody like that. So excited to see. Hopefully they can get that figured out and be ready. We hate to see events go away, but let's talk about an event that is happening this weekend. Back to the streets. Dude, actually starts tomorrow. Not this weekend, starts tomorrow. When? Hey, have I said that they're racing at Brown County?
I don't know if you did or not. I'm not sure. I don't think I've heard that before.
Yeah. I'm pumped about them being at Brown County. I'm pumped about no prep, drag and drive at Brown County. It doesn't get any bigger than that, in my opinion. Like, that's a big deal, especially for Back to the Streets. So for them to land that location, and then Matt Lang, who was on Saturday morning for the news, talked about how excited Brown County is, how excited Muncie is to have them, and Bunker Hill to have a drag and drive back at their locations. Brown County did like a 14-foot banner that they're going to hang up, for when all the racers and stuff come in this week. It's going to be, man, it's so cool. And then also, as I was doing some research, dude, they're running like a 6-racer junior dragster exhibition race at Bunker Hill and Muncie for the kids. How cool is that, man?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, there's enough downtime in drag and drive that you can do some stuff like that, and it gives obviously these kids an opportunity, these young racers, an opportunity to go out there and be on Motor Mania TV, be live streamed out here in junior dragster racing. All right, it looks like Cravin Cars is sending us some messages here, letting us know what's going on backstage. So they'll be here in just a minute. I'm excited to have, again, some other podcasters on. So Back to the Streets, Motor Mania TV live this week on YouTube and Facebook, most likely. Heads up, no prep, drag and drive racing. This is where you need to be, man. I'm having some serious FOMO. The last 2 weeks can be tough. Going to have Streetcar Bragging Rights I should have went to, and Back to the Streets we should have been at.
Yeah, but look ahead at what we got coming up. It's going to be. I don't think I could fit another event on my plate this year, even if I wanted to.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't, man. All right, well, let's talk about some of those. Drag and Drive's biggest weekend in history. Lead us into this. Tell us what's going on.
Yep. So Olympic Streetcar Shootout, almost 100 racers, 2 tracks. So that's your first one.
Mm-hmm.
Drop the Hammer Mid-Michigan Motorplex, roughly 150 cars and 2 tracks. Then we go to Sick on the Green, which is going to have a bunch of cars. We don't know roughly how many, but we know it's
Yeah.
going to be a lot with one track. And then obviously the one that we've been talking about a bunch is Mega Week. So you're talking 550 or more cars with
Yeah.
4 different tracks. So total 9 tracks, more than 800 racers, and 4 different parts of the US.
And I think that's what is going to be so cool. I said it last week, man. It really gets me jazzed up because, like, think of the amount of content that is going to come out of literally next weekend, not 3 days from now, 10 days from now, for Drag and Drive. Man, I've been messaging magazines, I've been messaging news outlets. Anybody that will listen to me is getting an email about what next weekend is going to do for the Drag and Drive community.
Yeah.
It's going to be insane. 800 plus cars, dude. Are you kidding me? I really wish I'd put the mileage together. Hang on, let's think about this. So, Olympic Streetcar Shootout, let's say it's 300 miles. I don't know what it is, right? Drop the Hammer is at least 300 miles. It's 600 miles. And then you've got 1,300 miles with Mega Week. So, what's that? 2,000 miles, 800 cars. What's that? 1.6 million miles driven, something like that.
Yeah. How much gas is going to be used? How much
Oh,
money is going to go into
we're,
snacks at small town gas
dude,
stations and restaurants? And
yeah, we're changing the U.S. economy with Drag and Drive.
yeah, in one weekend.
Yeah, in one weekend. Yeah, that's exactly right. It would be fun, when they did the economic impact for Tulsa Raceway Park. Tulsa Raceway Park by itself, 83 million a year in economic impact for the area. What do these Drag and Drives do, man? Because I know we spend 400 or 500 just in fuel. What's tires cost? Because we're not coming back with these tires that are on the truck or the cart. I guarantee it. So. Anyways, going to be awesome. Next weekend, going to be absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And then tell us what that kicks off, though, because it's a big list.
Yep. So we've been talking about how busy June's going to be. So listen to this 9 events in June, starting with Rocky Mountain Race Week, Mega Week, May 31st through June 7th. Then Alaska Speed Week, June 8th through 14th. Then Home Quarter Drag and Drive, June 13th through 15th. Street Weekend UK, also June 13th through 15th. Then Six Summer, June 15th through 20th. If you haven't noticed so far, there isn't a day off yet without a Drag and Drive. Then we've got Big Sky Race Week, June 15th through 20th. BC Drag It Challenge, June 18th through 23rd. East Coast Drag and Drive, June 27th through 29th. So there's our first gap of the month, June 23rd through to June 27th. And then finally finishing up with the circuit, June 26th through 29th. So there is 4 days there in the month of June where there won't be a Drag and Drive happening somewhere in the world, because we've got British Columbia, we've got Canada, we've got Alaska, TRP, Byron, what's that one? Miramichi, Dragway.
Yeah.
That is everywhere.
It's wild to think about what is happening right now. And, it's crazy. Like 9 events in the month of June. 3 days, 4 days. Yeah. No, 3 days. The 24th, 5th, and 6th are the
Yep.
only days that there's not somebody. No, the 26th, because we're not racing. We're doing tech at so really 2 days. The 24th and 25th, there won't be Drag and Drive stuff happening somewhere in the world.
Yeah, 2 days.
Golly, in the entire month of June. Wow.
Yeah.
Is June the new month of freedom?
I mean, maybe.
It's a month
Maybe.
of Drag and Drive for sure.
Yeah. What are we all gonna do on June 30th?
I don't know, rest, sleep a little bit. One of the cool things that is going to happen, we really haven't talked about it in the last few weeks, but is the Drag and Drive World Champion Point Series that this creates, right? So before now, all we've had is Sick Week that leads up till now. So we have gone from the beginning of February till now the end of May, going to be the start of June, with no major national events to add points to the series. And then in the month of June, we have Mega Week, we have Six Summer, Big Sky Race Week. Yeah, so we have three national level events, three national level events that will change the Dragon Drive World Champion Point Series nearly every week. Two of those are on the same week. It's gonna be crazy, man. Bring
Yeah,
it up.
pretty wild. And I added a note here. We don't have a picture or anything for it, but this just came to my mind. PRI plotting starts today. So that means
Oh, so anxious,
in 1 week, we're gonna know where our booth is.
man.
How wild is that? Like
I'm
it's
ready.
it's June. We're talking about 9 events in the month of June, and at the same time, we're talking about PRI plotting.
Yeah, bring it on, man. The award show this year is going to be insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. All the stuff we've done to build up to this, I've got to get that full list together. I've really been slacking on that. We've been so busy with the circuit reschedule and round two and all that and all the Midwest stuff I've been doing. Like, yeah, it's time. It's time to start digging in for PRI, man. Well, again, thanks so much to Driven Racing Oil. They are our event update sponsor. Love those guys and girls. They're awesome. They're going to be out at Six Summer, which is going to be great to have them on site. I got a message from Keaton Maxon the other day. He's getting ready to fire up his car, needing some brake-in oil. Had some questions. I had no idea. I just sent him to those guys. Like, man, you got to ask them. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how to make cars go fast.
But you can do some good burnouts, and that's what matters.
Oh yeah, yeah. Just wait. Just wait. You're going to see a bunch on Mega Week. All right, J-Wire Solutions here. This is going to be a good time here. So, expert car and marine wiring solutions you can trust. J-Wire Solutions can wire and plumb your hot rod, your race car, or your drag and drive car. Plus, they offer products to make your driving experience better. Products like the high currency relay module, which provides relays, relay switched fused outputs to power a high demand fuel pump, smart coils, and fuel injectors. We even offer an option for a second set of fuel injectors, which for you high powered guys, that's a big deal. A 12-volt or ground side switch can be used on a Holly system with 12-volt switching. This can either be direct from A2 or use the green fuel pump wire. Love it. Jay and the team over there at J-Wire are doing great things for the drag and drive community. I want to talk real quick about the NHRA recap, because if you guys have been living under a rock, Tom Bailey went out and just waylaid the NHRA Pro Mods, going faster than any NHRA Pro Mod on the property in a legit street car. Bro, does it get any cooler than that?
I'm not sure that it does.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think that's pretty freaking cool. 5.76 on a quarter-mile pass and 263 miles an hour. And according to the Dennis Taylor post, which I haven't had a chance to look back at this, that's the fastest NHRA Pro Mod pass ever, according to Brian Loans in the announcement. That's pretty badass.
That's wild.
Badass. Yep. One thing that's really cool is Alex Taylor ran a new personal best, 660 with a 7 at 219, almost 220 miles an hour. And then Bryant Goldstone also ran a PB with a 637 at 227.
Yeah. Lots of personal bests there.
Yeah. And then Ed Inzer ran a 703, I think, if I remember that right.
I mean, you figure they're on, a legit NHRA prepped event, kind of expect some of that. But one thing that got me thinking is I saw, and shout out to my dad who's watching, he sent me a video of a Goldstone and Bailey racing. And the only thing I could think of is that has to make Bryant want to get his car done. Like lining up next to Tom, I bet he was just like, you wish the vet was here. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I think that is 100% true. Him looking at that car drive out, because I mean, even running as fast as he did, that's still not anywhere near what Bailey did in the car. So yeah, that should definitely help him be motivated to get that car done. And a big shout out to those guys again, Megan Taylor, these photos here, and shout out to Bailey for winning the event. I know last year they struggled a little bit, some cars broke. car spun, all that kind of stuff. That was not the case this year. They got up and went right down the track. So big shout out to them. And, again, it helps grow the sport, especially when somebody in a street car comes out and just lays down a pass like Bailey did there.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. And I thought this shot was super cool. Again, shot by Megan Taylor. Like, it doesn't get any cooler than a drive-in like that with 3 bad to the bone cars.
Yeah. Yeah, trust me, if I had the money, I would drive something like that to go get hot dogs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or ice cream or whatever. Like, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right. And then we need to just, again, say thanks to Jay. If you're not following him on YouTube, man, go do that. The level of tech stuff they do over there is awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Let's do some Molly stuff here, sir, if you don't mind.
Yep, we'll hit this, and then I think we'll be ready to bring on our podcasters.
Mm-hmm.
All right, racers and high performance enthusiasts, are you ready to start your next engine build? If so, there is no better time than right now to check out Molly Motorsports all-in-one Power Pack Piston Kit. With over 1,200 applications, these kits come complete with pistons, rings, wrist pins, and clips, all designed to work together. Molly Motorsports Power Pack Piston Kits take out all of the guesswork. No more trying to no more trying to determine if a piston will need this ring to work with this cylinder size. Molly Motorsports has done all of that engineering for you, so you can get to the part that matters, which is building a power plant that leads you to victory lane. Visit mollymotorsports.com for more details. And of course, for our podcast listeners, Molly is spelled Mahle.
Yes. All right. So these guys here, Cravin Cars, if you guys don't listen to podcasts, you need to. I don't know why you wouldn't. It's a great way to spend your windshield time, taking kids to school, running to work, all that kind of stuff. I'm a huge podcast listener, and these guys are one of them. So let's bring these guys on. Let them introduce themselves. Let me get to a better layout here. Yeah, gentlemen, how are you guys?
Yeah, we are awesome. Thank you so much for, troubleshooting a bunch of different things. So I'm Chris Ruck. This is Corey Pratt. So
what? I can't introduce myself.
Okay, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Corey Pratt. That's Chris Ruck.
That's right. This is Cravin Cars.
Well, guys, listen, I love the show. I love what you do. Tell us, where'd you guys get started? What do you cover?
You know what? I'll cover it briefly, and Corey will probably chime in like he always does. We kind of bounce off each other all the time. But, we're not just dedicated towards the drag scene. We do everything from car shows, rallies, fundraisers for cars, exotic groups, drag racing, of course.
Well, it's nice that you mentioned fundraisers because if there's usually some kind of fundraiser involved, a lot of people reach out to us, and we're one of the first ones to say, unless for some reason we are completely out of town or some other emergency going, we're usually for it. Because a lot of fundraisers around here are a lot of times are kid involved. So we do tons of stuff for that stuff. But other than that, it's Cravin Cars. It's in the name. We're craving, cars. It's an automobile channel. It's automotive related. Yes, we do cover a lot of racing. We are very excited with drag racing scene, bigger and better than ever in Kansas City,
for sure.
With the Flying Ace drag strip. But we do road courses. Come on, I covered some of the Indy 500 a few years back.
Yep, F1. We're very involved with at least covering a lot of stuff. We're also involved with NASA. Which is a big thing.
That's Mid-America.
Yeah.
But other than that, car events in general, a lot of the really big car shows, and just huge car events, not just in Kansas City, but outside as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're all over the place.
Hey, if it's got something cool that's automotive related, we're all for it. Let's just dive right in.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, and part of this conversation started because you guys kind of you spend a lot of time at Flying H, and Mega Week's going to be there. So we wanted to kind of get some insight from you guys. How excited is the Kansas City area?
What's the best lane to race?
Oh, bro. Yeah. I don't even know if we'll have to worry about that, to be honest.
There is no best lane.
They're both great.
There's no best left lane. There's no good lane over the left lane over the other left lane.
Man, Flying H is one of the nicest facilities I've ever been to. It's so cool, and I love the pit parking because it's also like a grandstand down there for
Yeah.
people.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
can watch
I mean,
racing from down there. Yeah.
What we found being there, it's like anywhere you are, you have access to everything. You're either seeing the cars, racing the cars, in the pit lane. I mean, it literally, you turn 360, you're already in the show.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be so cool. Well, I want to run through a couple of these pictures that you guys sent over as well.
Sure. They're all mad at us.
Yeah. So these are, I asked you for a few pictures. I also went
Sure.
and stole some
I told you
from Facebook.
Dude, Chris, I told you don't send any pictures with you in them.
I know.
Now
not wearing the same
now the
outfit.
reviews are going to go down.
Yeah, I was
Thanks,
like, does Chris have a uniform? Is that what this is?
That was today, actually. No, honestly, this is KC Exotics. It's one of the groups we team up with, and why we like teaming up with them is they do a lot of charity events for disabled kids with Geeks and Cars. So they really raise a lot of money in the community. So we're always open up for Dan and his group just to invite us. And it's just a great way for us to be part.
That's awesome.
And it gets us around really cool cars.
Yeah.
Right. Lots of really neat stuff. I see here you guys are like on site doing interviews. There was a shot I was looking at. Yeah. What the heck is this thing?
Yeah.
It's something large. It comes from a company. They actually build these out of Springfield, Missouri, called Global Expedition Vehicles. So what Cravin Cars, it's an automotive channel, obviously, like we were talking about. But one of the things that we've been getting a little bit more poke on is something I used to do back in the day. I used to do a lot of off-roading and stuff like that. So a lot of people go, well, why don't you cover more of that stuff? So now we have a Cravin Cars overlanding segment that we're doing a little bit more and more of, and we're getting actually quite a bit of traction on it lately. And actually, we put together the very first of, especially in Kansas City here, we call it Rigs and Roasts. It's kind of like a Cars and Coffee, but just for overlanding and off-roaders. And that's kind of what you got right there. Right now, we had a 511 Tactical here in Kansas City kind of did a small little sponsorship to kind of host one of our Rigs and Roasts, and actually we got another one coming up soon actually for that. But that was at an expo down in Springfield. So that big rig there, Global Expedition Vehicles, they built some amazing things. Matter of fact, we have a exclusive video that they allowed us to go down and shoot at their facility of a new vehicle called the Epic. And I'm just going to say it's properly named. But that video will be out in a few weeks. Outside of Cravin Cars, the only ones who's had access for video for this is Car and Driver and Motor Trend.
Wow.
So there you go. Yeah. I felt very special. I'm not bragging. I just felt very special that they included us with that because we had a good conversation with them down in Springfield during this expo. So
that is so cool. And was that during the Moore Expo?
Yes, it was.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah, we were on the same weekend as them last year when we were racing at Ozark with the circuit. So we just couldn't work it out to where we could get racers over there, like drag racers over to the Moore Expo.
Yeah. Right. But that is a fantastic show. So I mean, there's not most of the bigger overlanding shows in the United States is going to be in the Northwest area. It's going to be out Southwest area, some out in the East. Just the Midwest for some reason just doesn't show the most love for that kind of side. So that was one of the reasons why we started Rigs and Roast a couple years ago to try to bring the community. I mean, yes, we have plenty of little clubs in Kansas City, Toyota clubs and Jeep clubs, and they do their own thing. But not as a whole as everybody can get together that of all like-minded enthusiasts, just like we do at car shows and other car meets and meetups and all that kind of stuff. So it's just kind of one of those things where it's not only just been something that people have been wanting from us, it's been really fun in the process to get around and seeing things like this rig right here. I mean, this is it was like, this was the sickest thing. And the cool thing, I also felt a little privileged because I got to go in it and they weren't really letting a lot of people in it. And I was just like, wow. Yeah, and then there's a whole deck on the outside with lighting and stereo. And I was like, what the?
Yeah, you can probably get in some spots and see a long way off on that thing.
Yeah, you get up high enough for sure.
Well, the reason why I have this picture with me next to it, because I took a picture of it and it was like, okay, it looks like a box truck. I was like, I need to stand next to it because I don't think people are going to understand the size of this thing. And I'm 6'2", just to give you an idea.
Wow. Yeah, that thing's
pretty massive.
Yeah, I think those tires are like at least 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
That's
But
awesome.
no, they built some awesome stuff. I mean, our studio. So actually, here's the weird thing is before they even made a move. So our studio, so kind of back here, right here, our kind of studio on wheels here that we show up a lot of shows with is our sprinter van. There it is, right there too. So we do a lot of that.
Yeah.
That is a Storyteller Overland build, and they actually purchased that company that you just saw, the Global Expedition Vehicle. So they are doing some amazing things with that company.
Wow.
Yeah, it just allows us to get out in the field where you don't have power, you don't have anything. We can just be self-supportive.
That's an off-grid vehicle. So whether we need electricity or whatever it is, a bed, a refrigerator to keep our drinks, whatever it is, it's in that van.
All of our live streaming builds off that van. We don't need power.
And then the Global Expedition vehicles do everything that van does and 10 times more.
Yeah,
because it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, see, Eric, they're looking at these kind of things, and we're looking at 1970 Winnebago.
Hey,
Bravos.
I'm saying I was looking at that Sprinter van going, that's probably a pretty sweet setup, and that's probably more what we should be looking at, but we're not. But that leads into a question I did have is you guys talk about doing a lot of on-site interviews. So tell us a little bit about how that goes and why you guys do that.
Yeah, so the gentleman you had on the screen right before this image, that's a gentleman from Flying H. He kind of heads up all the production shows and everything for Flying H. So what we try to do is interview our sponsors, right? The next gentleman that you saw, that's Jason. He has We Are Warriors. He one of our sponsors. We have multiple sponsors, so we always try to get them on. But what we try to do is talk about what is important on the show. So example, World of Wheels, right? We want to make sure we get their organizers on. We want to make sure we talk about, the winners of the car shows, things like that, right? Get them involved in the show, or major sponsors of a show. We want to make sure we interview, give them the best context to lay out what's coming up over the next year or so. So that's kind of what we focus on when it comes down to interviews. But we roll into, like I said, when we go to NASA, we roll in there and we might just grab a race car driver with a very unique setup, and we'll just drag them into the studio and say, hey, talk to us.
Tell us what's going on here. Yeah, that's cool.
They're like, is that a camera? Like I'm always like, don't mind that. Just talk to me. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's not on. Don't worry.
Yeah. One
thing loves talking about it. So I mean, it's
one thing we've
just given the opportunity.
Cars. Yeah, people can talk cars. They don't have any problem with that. It's
Chris, you sent him another picture with you in it.
Extra. Yeah. I think I stole this one.
Well, tell us a little bit about the setup there and how you guys run those live.
So this is unique, right? If you go back to the other picture you just had up with the Red Bull van and our van, we deal a lot with Red Bull, inviting them out to unique events that we're attending, saying, hey, if you're in the area, you want to come out, bring the van out. There's two parts of Cravin Cars, which is not only do we do the media coverage, but we can also provide the DJ, PA system, all of that as well. But we've been hooking up with Red Bull last year, and we're going to be doing more this year, just to be able to do our PA system out of their truck. One, because it kind of schematically looks the same. It looks like it's organized.
Right.
So we try to get the best. We did a full walk around video for Red Bull the first time they even came and joined us, which to their credit, they just showed up and said, hey, we're here for you. What do you need? And I think they went through 300 cans of Red Bull within a couple hours. It was crazy. But he just breaks out of cases and cases. And but the idea was we gave them a walk around video, and then Red Bull published it as well to their others. I mean, obviously this isn't the only car they have, but they have multiple. So we post a lot of videos for it. So we interviewed sponsors of a show, and then we interview, winners, things like that. So
that's awesome. We need to do more of that type stuff. We do a lot of interviews, and then I'll come back and I'll edit, videos to show the
Yeah.
week-long journey of somebody's experience and stuff like that. So, how often do you guys put out new shows?
Oh gosh, to be honest, we're trying to do videos outside of the podcast weekly. So we're back in the strong season of it. So
yeah, and I think we're on the same timeline as you guys are, right?
Yeah,
Where you're probably doing multiple weeks now. The car season's kicking off. You're deep into it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how we are now. May kind of kicks us off. Mm-hmm. So we're back to, during the winter months, we're doing a monthly one show per month. Now we're doing weekly. Every Thursday you can catch our podcast, Cravin Cars Live. I mean, you can find it. So we do it now because there's a lot more activity going on.
Yeah, and that's what we run into a lot of times. Is like the volume of activity now is insane. We could do a 2-hour show every day talking about stuff that's coming up or cars that are being built or whatever. And all we talk about is drag and drive stuff. I can't imagine if we opened it to everything, what that would allow.
Well, so part of the offset of that, I mean, we do, I mean, it's roughly about an hour. Sometimes we go over an hour a lot, actually, on our podcast, but we're trying to throw out additional videos on the side that we will briefly talk about in the podcast. Just to, we don't have enough time or days of the week that we could keep doing podcasts to discuss so many different details on it. So we'll do individual videos of multiple videos, whether it's a YouTube short, whether it's just pictures on Instagram and Facebook, or just continuous videos of multiple day events and stuff that we want people to go to and watch, because that way you can see more of the events. It looks better for the promotion for those events, and they, just see more cars, more cool stuff. I mean, it's car. I mean,
so
we just want people to see more cars.
Yeah, I think how we look at it is it's not just we're just podcasters and we do host a podcast show. Yeah, we are actually the full media crew that records everything all day. Like we just did Streetcar Takeover, and it was 8 a.m. till midnight almost thing that we're running around with heavy gear, trying to capture everything. Then we got to edit it. Now we got to build it for the next show, talk about what we did. So
the podcast is really the small part about
it. It is. It's the easy part.
It's the extra part where it's like, oh, what a good day. We can sit back, hit live, and then when we're done, we're like, all right, what do we do? Yeah. Oh, it's already posted.
As you guys know, it's the editing part that takes the longest time.
Oh, yeah.
It's the production side of things, setting up a studio, all of that. That takes a lot of time. Us sitting down talking, and we appreciate you guys having us on, but sitting down and doing this is easy for us to do.
Yeah.
It's not the homework. It's everything else that we have to do.
It's not just easy, but it's fun.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Sure, for sure.
Well, I want to jump back to talking a little bit about the Kansas City track. So what are you guys most excited about with having that new track in Kansas City?
Man, I've never seen so many in the racing community. I've never seen so many eyes lit up.
Yep.
And excitement.
Yep.
Shops going, shops that some have died. Some have just dwindled to nothing. Some are just really slow, don't do what they do. Dude, all those places, all those businesses, they're going to pick up. And you got people being more busy building engines for people. You've got so many more parts being done and ordered. Just the liveliness of so many people have built. Now, granted, before it's like, sure, you still had, the racers out of Kansas City, the ones with the better money that had the nice trailers and would travel all the time and do all this racing. Well, now you got the ones that maybe on the lower half of it that goes, well, even if I don't travel, I can now race again. And so now everybody's hobbies are picking right back up again. And we've talked to so many people about it. And then even people who've traveled that have come back here and that's how we say, what is it? It's like even some of the bigger people here, they're putting Flying H drag strip as in the top 5 drag strips of the nation.
Yeah. Which is why they're probably part of Mega Week, which I know you want to get to. So
hey, listen, I'm
that's a segue.
Mega Week. Yeah. I mean, are you guys coming out? Are you going to be doing your stuff?
Yeah, we are going to be coming out. We will bring the media van. We'll be covering. We'll be in pit lane. We'll be going around to every builder, whatever we can do to do interviews, coverage, things like that. So we are working hard with Flying H just to get more production access to what we need. In other words, remote cameras, that kind of thing, giving multiple angles, that kind of thing. That takes a little bit to do. Obviously, it's a new track. They're still, I mean, they're pretty well built, but they're still adding on.
Yeah.
It is definitely a great location for sure. Mega Week is probably I know for a fact it's the first time it's been here in Kansas City, but there's a reason why it's here. And that's because the track is amazing. Yeah. We could talk about the track. Obviously, we don't know much about Mega Week because we haven't seen it here in Casey.
By the way,
but we are excited.
Barn Flying Fabricator said it best right there.
Yep.
Kansas City needed Flying H.
Yep.
It really did. And so some good friends of ours, Red Hat Scotty and David and Keaton Maxon, those guys are all, you know, they were at the meetings. They were like, we've got to have this back. We need this we need a track, one, but then to have a track at that level built was just, it's huge for the drag racing community across the country.
It is. And Scott and Blake have done an amazing job getting things built, getting things organized, you know. And then what they did is they kind of went through stages. They're like, oh, is this good enough? No, it's not. What's the next stage? Right? Putting in the amazing LEDs and, you know, building the tower and things like that. They really put the effort in. Which it's a big shout out to them. I mean, they really rejuvenated the KC drag racing scene. Yeah. Obviously, be nice if you can go to Topeka, but that's not going to happen.
Not yet. And for folks in Kansas City, it's, you know, you would much rather drive 20 minutes than an hour or two.
Yeah,
that's no doubt.
Yeah, and it really is a great location. I mean, we can't say much more, but that we're proud of, you know, Flying H. I mean, that they're one of our sponsors. And not only because of that, but they really did go out of the way to make sure. Scott really emphasized on, we got to make sure we're the best of one of the best. And to be ranked one of the top 5 within 1 year, that's a big deal. So
and I want to give a shout out to the streetcar takeover scene. Yeah. With Justin Keith and all that stuff, he's also one of those ones that agrees that this. He goes, man, this is. He said top 5, and he goes, I'm saying top 5 generously. It's probably up to the front of that top 5. But I mean, it is so good that he's had this kickoff party that he's had every year for quite a few times. It's always just been a party. It's never been a race event. But now, because of Flying H, he's able to make it not only the party, the car show, the burn-off contest, all this stuff. He's able to also make it the race events. And even on top of that, he comes back a second time. It's so good that he goes, we need multiple events from just Streetcar Takeover. And they go to a lot of different places throughout the nation. And he's already, Streetcar Takeover, the kickoff party's already over. He already can't wait till October to come back.
Yep. Because he's already announced stuff.
And he's going to
did it on our show.
He's going to be in so many different ones already. And he already can't wait. You know, he already can't wait to come back.
Yeah, I think this year they have like 18 events scheduled or 16 or something like that. It's crazy.
Nationwide,
those guys are insane, man. Streetcar Takeover is awesome.
And you know, he kind of went to going from streetcar racing side to car show, and now he's back to, and that's what he's proud of, is that we're back to actually racing.
So. Yeah, 100%. And you know, we talk about this all the time, but I feel like someone like Streetcar Takeover could take drag and drive to a whole nother level because of the opportunities. They already have cars that are street based. They already have gas cars. They're already there for several days. You know, now you just need to add in some drive aspects if he wanted to tackle that level of work with it, you know. So it's crazy, man. I love what Justin and those guys have done with the whole thing.
They've been doing great.
Yep.
For sure.
Well, last up, you know, you're talking about charity. Eric made this note here. The circuit's a charity. Maybe we need to be talking, see if you guys want to make a run down to Galena or Mocan maybe and hang out and get some drag and drive content. We got 200 cars coming. It would be a fun event. May know the guy that puts that on and could see if he could get an extra room at maybe one of the hotels or something like that.
Well, we have a van to sleep in.
Yeah, hey, even better.
We come prepared. We can live on the road. So, but no, hotels are awesome. But no, I mean, anything we can do to help build. Yeah. This is what we tell everybody. Yes, we're specific to Kansas City. But anything we can do.
It's home base, just like how Justin does his
Exactly.
kickoff party here in
Yep.
Kansas City because he's home based here. But we love the home base part.
Yeah.
I think the central part, and there's certain things like we needed a little bit more of that flight age. And when it came here, I'm like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And there's a few other things, like we're trying to do the overlanding thing, trying to bring that in. There's more things that I don't know why they're not bigger here because it's a big enough city for it.
Oh, yeah, it's huge.
That we're just doing our best with that. But at the same time, there's so many other cool stuff and events outside of Kansas City that we really don't want to miss any of it, to be honest. But, you can only be in so many places at once.
Oh, yeah. We understand that completely. We understand. All right. So tell everybody where they can find you, and we got to bounce.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook.
Instagram, Facebook at Cravin Cars, and, of course, on YouTube. Cravin Cars.
That's right.
And our website, cravincarslive.com.
There you go. That'll give you access to everything.
Did like the radio voice there. You like that?
Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah, I'll try that.
All right.
I thought you were going to try it. Go ahead. Give us your radio voice.
There you go. Well, I don't have one.
No. Okay. All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much. We'll see you in like 12 days or something like that.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. Eric, Mike, obviously we thank you a lot for just giving the opportunity. Hopefully we brought a lot of people to you as well, and vice versa. So anything you need from us, just reach out, man. Yep. You guys are doing a great job.
Well, hey, we appreciate you guys a bunch. And again, see you soon.
All right, buddy.
All righty. Keep craving, everybody.
Dude, how cool, man. We need to do more of that. We need to have more guests like that on, folks that cover all of the content. Man, I really, that big, super large rig is it's crazy to think that people drive those things around.
Yeah, that's wild. That is huge.
Yeah. So big shout out to Molly. I want to say thanks. They've been sponsor around here for a long time. If you're looking to take your car to the next level with some really, really good pistons, these are your guys to do it. They're not just drag racers, they're also drag and drive racers. So George in the Duster and Eric Gurlio in the Stick Shift Nova, going to be awesome. See him next week as well. All right, Barn Find Fabricators here saying great show, everyone. And then man, back to Dan Chandler here. He's at Back to the Streets.
Yeah, there was somebody else up here, Casey.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, Casey, the North Carolina Drop the Hammer co-host.
Yeah.
Going to be out there. You got to get those drag and drives in. If you're going to host one, you got to do one. That's kind of how it needs to go, right?
Oh, 100%.
All right. Real quick here, we're going to do ad read, and then we're going to talk about some stuff, and then we're going to bring in Team Hybrid. Mr. Jeremy Ortiz is going to be in here talking about streetcar bragging rights. So we're going to go over some winners here in the Deechworks segment. So Deechworks is the leading manufacturer of high-performance fuel system components. The DW product line includes fuel injectors, pumps, pump modules, fuel rails, regulators, filters, lines, and fittings, and surge tanks, all engineered to support power levels ranging from 400 to 2,200 horsepower. Since its founding, Deechworks has been committed to delivering quality, innovation, and precision to the automotive performance industry. Every DW product is built to maximize reliability and efficiency, which is what you got to have in drag and drive life, ensuring optimal fueling solutions for racers, tuners, and performance enthusiasts worldwide. With a focus on engineering excellence and industry-leading customer support, Deechworks continues to drive the future of high-performance fueling, and they are the official fuel delivery system of Drag Drive Repeat here. But hey, we're driving right through Oklahoma City sometime in about 8 or 9 days, maybe 10 days from now. So I think you and I are going to have to make a stop by the old Deechworks factory there in Oklahoma City.
I definitely think we should do that because I haven't been there, so it'd be a perfect chance.
Yeah, and out front when they stopped for 666, they did some burnouts. So we need to see if those burnouts are still there. And we need to also kind of help reseal the road there if we're going to be over by there.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, let's talk about some streetcar bragging rights. Y'all, 500 plus cars. We talked about this last week in extreme detail. The streetcar bragging rights shootout, absolutely insane. 125 cars. We're going to dive deep into it with Jeremy here in just a few minutes. But it was crazy, man. What I really liked, and I can't wait to hear his thoughts on this, was blind qualifying. So they had like 3 rounds of blind qualifying. Nobody knew what each other ran. So you didn't know where you stood in line. But then they took and broke that class down into 4 classes based on ET ranges, right? So the quickest class is elite, which is the fastest stuff. And you can see our boy Jim Braun, who's been a guest on the show before with Brett LaSala on here, took the win in the streetcar bragging rights elite class. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Streetcar, just bad to the bone, dude. And then the wild class, which is like that next class, our boy Jeremy Ortiz taking it home. Great photos of him in the winner's circle. Man, bragging rights, streetcar bragging rights, Nate Prater did an amazing job of all the decorations that go in there. And then Alan Whitaker takes home the win in heavyweight class. You know, car weighs 4,200 pounds or 4,500 pounds, something like that. And then, oh man, I thought there's one other one on there, but my plan is to eventually break down and write an article that has all of the drag and drive racers that attended streetcar bragging rights on it and kind of go into detail. I just didn't have time to do that because we moved the show up a day. So I spent most of today writing notes and getting photos and things like that for the show today. So Deechworks, obviously a sponsor of streetcar bragging rights. Man, they're just involved in everything that is streetcar related. They're involved, which is awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited to hopefully we can make that happen and swing by while we're there.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to go by there. I don't care if it's 10 o'clock at night. We're going to go by there and do a burnout at least. Maybe we can have some dinner with them or something like that. But congratulations to all the winners of streetcar bragging rights. That looked like one of the toughest races of the year, especially for cars that are, street worthy. I watched a lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it on Freedom Plus. Went in and signed up for a whole, subscription and all that kind of stuff. I can't wait for Eric to go through some of that stuff and watch it. There's some really, really good racing. The blind qualifying really threw me for a loop because a lot of times I'm taking notes as I'm working, right? So I've got playing in my ear. It'll say like, Jeremy ran X or whatever. Well, you didn't get any of that. So it's just like people making passes all day. You got to hear that sweet, buttery voice of Derek Putnam in there. And then, of course, Saturday was the eliminations, and that went amazingly well. Lots of really, really, really fast passes. Lots of PBs for people. And then I want to say John Mankia ran a perfect 8.500, but I haven't seen the sheets come out yet to verify that. But in one of the rounds, I think he went to the 5th round, and then David Fontaine also went to the 5th round in the streetcar bragging rights index class. So pretty crazy, man.
Nice. I know Rich went pretty far too.
Mm-hmm. And stick shift.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a ton of drag and drive racers on there. I'm sure Jeremy's going to have a little bit about that to talk about. But again, thanks to Deechworks. We'll see you guys in a few days. If you need any kind of fuel system upgrades, if you want to look at stuff, they got it, man. I'm telling you, this triple pump module here we're showing on the screen, 2011 to 2024 Mustang drop in. This is one of the biggest things about them. Is a lot of their stuff is drop in. They do have universal pumps and things like that, but this is a lot of stuff is kind of drop in. This is a 3 series pump, supports up to 1,700 horsepower. OEM fitment, retains the factory surge features. I mean, like, this is all kinds of cool stuff you can just put in and make all the power.
Yep, you got it.
All right, sir. Lead us into some race car friends here, man.
All right, so we've had we're an hour into the show, so great conversation so far with Cravin Cars. Tons of updates for everybody, and again, we can't do it without you guys watching. All the comments you guys are making, shares, likes. That's why we call you guys our race car friends. And if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be able to do all this. Same goes for our sponsors. Obviously, they help make a lot of this possible, especially with traveling coming up. 3 events in the month of June for me. Obviously, again, can't do that without those guys. So thank you to Summit Racing Equipment, Deechworks, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Howard's Cams, J-Wire Solution, WAF Racing, Performa-Built Transmissions, Car Chains 3D, Power Tube TV, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk. And you guys know the deal. We talk about this every week. The gentleman's agreement. All that means is that we're going to continue doing what we love, which is bringing you guys content about events, whether that be photos, videos, live streams, interviews, you name it. We're going to keep doing that because we love doing that. And we ask you guys to like our like our content, share it out with the rest of your friends, follow, subscribe, whatever platform that you are on. Make sure you do that. Just help us grow this community so we can continue doing what we love.
Did you see this power tube stuff the other day with Cooper Bogetti and Brian Bassone?
I have not seen that yet. I did see that something was there, but I haven't watched it.
Brian, it was a great interview. Brian kind of stole the show for a little bit, so big shout out to him. He kind of, he's definitely a public figure when it comes to power tube, and he told the story of like, back when Speed was a channel and how they, how he bought all that stuff and then they couldn't use it. And like, it was really this just crazy stories that you end up with as far as being a guy that has that capability. Talked about Ray Iddings, who's our contact over at PowerTube. It's who we send all of our stuff to, talk about all of our stuff that we send to PowerTube over there to make sure that, they show our stuff as well as a ton of other content creators. But he talked about Pinks. He talked about Pastime coming back. He wouldn't tell who the host is for Pastime. They keep talking about this really cool host they have, and I can't figure out who it is. So, anyways, I was hoping we were going to get some info drop on that, but I figure we're going to get it sometime very, very soon on a new thing they call Power Talk Live. So they are running live with Brian, hosting that show every, I think it's the 20th. Yeah. So every Tuesday night they run it at 8 p.m. Eastern over there. So same time we are, sadly, but hey, that's the way it's going today. You got to get over there. You got to find these guys. If you haven't done it, download the PowerTube app. You do it on your smart TV, do it on your phone. You see, watch us over there. You can watch, they probably have 70 or 80, maybe 100 different content creators. They got all kinds of different channels. You can watch just podcasts. You can watch just builds. You can watch off-road stuff, overlanding stuff like what Cravin Cars was talking about a minute ago. All the things that are in there. So big shout out to PowerTube for taking it to that next level. All right. You ready? I want to talk to this Jeremy Ortiz guy again. He's been on before because he is an 850 killer, but we're going to do different stuff this time.
Yep. Let me hit this video and then we'll be ready to bring him on.
Have you ever wished you could fit your toolbox in the palm of your hand, or really needed that extra set of hands while making a jet change at the track? At WAF Racing, we specialize in designing and manufacturing top-tier automotive tools that are made strong to withstand travel, yet lightweight not to slow you down. Tested in-house and at the track by the team at WAF Racing, every part is made by racers for racers. From compact toolkits, carburetor top hats, or spark plug storage containers, our tools are precision engineered and manufactured in the USA. Made of the strongest materials, every piece strikes the perfect balance of durability and dependability. Maybe you need something custom just for you. We do that too. You need WAF Racing in the passenger seat for your next drag racing event. Head over to wafracing.com today to take your racing experience to the next level. WAF Racing. Design, build, race.
I can't wait to hang out with Chris and the team at WAF Racing. All right, let's talk about Jeremy Ortiz here. Let me remove this, and then we're going to bring him on. And, dude, kick this thing off, man.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and unmute your mic and then introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are and what you drive.
Yep. So good evening, fellas. My name is Jeremy Ortiz, Team Hybrid Racing, and I drive a 1995 Nissan 240SX, and it's purple.
And you drive it like a maniac, dude. This thing is badass. Like I said earlier in the show, it's probably our second favorite 240 that's out there.
There's some pretty wicked ones, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Eric's, we got to like his probably. Yours is a real close number one in my heart, though. I'll tell you what. This thing's crazy.
Listen, his is our favorite turbo LS 240. Mine's just the favorite non-turbo 240.
There we go.
Yeah, this thing is wild, dude. So tell us a little bit about this car. So, let me explain to everybody out there. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to introduce you to Jeremy. We're going to tell you who he is, what he drives, all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to do an ad break for performability. And then we're going to go into talking about streetcar bragging rights. So everybody kind of get your questions ready. So the first bit here is YouTube, cars, drag and drive history, all that kind of stuff. So tell us about this car, how long you had it, all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So it's a 1995 Nissan 240SX. Anybody who's not familiar with it, they're a 4-cylinder rear-wheel drive car. I bought it back in 2011, I think it was, right after I graduated from college. I'd been in DSMs for a while, and I was trying to find something new. I'd never had a rear-wheel drive car, so I was really trying to find something rear-wheel drive. I was looking at like Porsches and stuff, like older ones, and I was like, I don't know. And ended up finding this. I'm out of Indianapolis, Indiana, so I found this down in Kentucky. And a buddy of mine, we drove down there, I don't know, on a weekend or something. I found it, and I knew these things were going hot. Like, they were going fast, right? You find a 240 back then, it was like, they're going quick. So I messaged the lady that was selling it, and I just kept messaging her and calling her, making sure I could get it. So the first chance we had, we drove down there and picked it up. Bone stock. I think it had like 180,000 miles on it, maybe.
Wow.
And drove it back home, and it hasn't been stocked probably since about 10 minutes after that.
Wow. So it was 4-cylinder when you got it. So did those come with turbos, or were they just NA 4-cylinders?
Not here. So they came with like a 2.4 straight 4-cylinder. Yeah, 4-cylinder. And then but like in Japan they have like the SR20s. So
interesting.
Yeah, so that wasn't enough power, of course.
Yeah.
And not that LS swaps were brand new or anything, but you go back 14 years or so, and they're starting to get popular and still cheap. So I was just saving up money where I could, and decided that, again, this was my first rear-wheel drive car, and then I'd never had a V8 either. I'd always just had 4-cylinder stuff. So I was like, let's see that's SR20 was a common swap, but I already had a 4-cylinder turbo car, and it's like, let's do something different. So I just started researching and saving money and buying one part at a time, really. And we ended up lived in a small apartment, had a tiny little garage, and we did a little swap in the garage to a LS1 and a T56, so it was 6-speed. And it was my daily. I drove it every day to work for a handful of years until things started to get out of control, as they do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a fun journey with the car. Obviously, I've had it for like 14 years. It's gone through 5.7 LS1, 6-speed, and then we did like a cam in it and made, I don't know, upper 300s. And then at some point, I think I was racing it probably on the highway back in the old days, doing roll racing and stuff. And I think it was then I did like a 2-3, and then back into 2 shift, and engine didn't like that. So a little while later, started making a bit more noise, and decided that it was time to put something else in there. So I put a 6-liter motor in it, cam, and I think it made like 400 horsepower, so more. I was just kind of tuning it, HP tuners on the street. Still just learning everything about it. And then I was like, okay, well, that's fun. Now let's put a turbo in it. So I built a turbo kit for it. Kind of just my first time doing a lot of stuff on this car, tuning it myself, building it here and there. Made some decent power, and I did a little bit of stick shift racing. And at this point, like, stick shift racing was starting to really get out of control. And when I mean out of control, it's not like what it is now. I mean, I think guys were like, I'm trying to remember, I might be a little bit off my numbers, but I want to say like guys were getting into the 8s, and like that was crazy, and I was not near that. I was still hanging around in the 10s. So I did that for a while, and then the transmission started making noise, and those T56s were going for some money.
Yeah.
They've only gone since then. So I called my buddy at RPM Transmissions, Jeremy, and I said, hey, what do you think's wrong with this? And do you think I can still sell it? So I was clear about what it was, and I decided then, I was like, I want to really get into, actually like racing this car a lot. So I put a 400 3-speed in it. It's probably over, I want to say 2017, 2018, winter of that. I decided to make the swap. I got a lot of, pushback on that, changing over to the auto. But I said, as long as I'm still having fun, it doesn't really matter to me. And going out and racing was a lot of fun, and I could be consistent with the car. And I'll admit it, I wasn't the best stick shift racer. So on the 1-2, it upset the car, and 240s like to drift, so it was just sideways. A lot different then, though. You're on a bias ply running like 11 pounds, and now stick cars are on wheels and all this other crazy stuff, which is absolutely crazy. So, yeah, and then I went pretty fast on a stock bottom 6.0, like 870s, I think, and then ended up going back to a 5.3 later on. I I think about 2 years I've been to rod on that 6.0 on the limiter at the top. I ran out of gear. You only have so many options with the Nissan rear ends as far as gearing. I wasn't really spinning it real high because it was stock. And so then I put a 5.3 in it, did that for a little while, and iron block. And now it's got an aluminum 5.3 in it that's pretty much like you open up BTR catalog and just order everything with their name on it from top to bottom. And that's what it is. And it's been in the car since right after I completed sixth summer a few years ago when I had that little bit of an accident.
Wow. That's awesome. So yeah, that thing's taking a beating.
yeah, I wasn't too nice to it.
Right. So rear end, are you still factory 240 set up or are you solid?
No, so the factory rear end, I broke a number of axles driving that thing stick shift, and that's when I was like, all right, I should probably buy a trailer. I bought an open trailer and started trailering it because I had, after paying a tow bill so many times, I was like, a few more of these and I could already own a trailer, So then I put a common swap is like a Q45 rear end in them. So I did that, and then ended up doing a 350Z because I needed the different gear to run it out further because it was just going faster. But now for the last 4 years, it has an import drag solution 8.8 solid axle. So they I've had their shock suspension on the car for years, but they a number of years ago created a bolt-in subframe. So you literally just unbolt your shocks and drop the whole subframe and everything, and then bolt this thing back in. And it's 4 bolts into the frame or into the studs, and then 2 bolts in the shock. And they did it that way so it meets a lot of the class rules.
Yeah, because I would think that would have been a very limiting factor. IRS, especially 10 or 12 years ago, was not. They didn't have it figured out. They've got a lot more of it figured out now. But it's very, very expensive.
And I mean, I got pretty consistent with the IRS, doing like 1.360 foots. And guys have gone much faster, but they're ticking time bombs. You get under that 1.360 foot on a IRS Nissan stuff, and it typically doesn't last very long. So, and I'm usually doing 80 to 100 passes a season. So I don't want any downtime. I want to be out there racing.
Right.
So, yeah. It's a learning curve too, because I had never done anything solid axle and radial and the whole, separating extension, the rear end coming up and all that stuff. So I had a bit to learn there. I'm still learning. I learned a lot this weekend too. So pretty cool stuff.
Right.
Well, what's your quickest ET so far?
So I actually reset my PB this weekend. So we went 792 with a 5. And I'd say she's got a little bit more in her because that was probably the worst weather I've ever raced in.
Really?
I think we were at 3,400 DA and 120 water grains, somewhere in that range. So it was nasty. It was really nasty.
Wow. Man, that's crazy. Yeah, I knew it was bad, but I didn't know it was that bad.
No, it was miserable.
That's wild. Well, let's talk about the other day. Were you joking around in the photo? You had 2 turbos each side.
Yeah. So I just did that to create a little bit of conversation. No, and I think it even caught Derek off guard because I think at one point I was told that he said on the live feed that maybe it had twin turbos. Yep. No, it's just this. So it's like I mentioned, it's a 5.3 LS BTR, top to bottom, and then it is a forced performance 84 millimeter mid frame, so like an S400 chassis turbo. So it's doing work for what it is. 5.3 with a single 84 mid turbo. It's should get down. Right. I can't say enough to those guys coming on board last year. It's been fantastic. The car just seems happy and healthy, and I don't know. It almost seems like it wants even more.
It does. They always want more. Well, I
Yeah.
want to talk about that turbo for a minute because you have had an 84 on it, and you're
Mhm.
going to a different 84. What were the thoughts on the change? And look, Robert's very, very smart. His
Yeah.
level of knowledge is like 11 steps further than mine. But I want to know kind of why the change. It was a wheel change and maybe some bearings. I can't remember what you said in your video.
Yeah, primarily we're just trying out a wheel design that he's got. And like you said, I mean, Robert, he's 5 steps ahead of me. So he said, hey, I like what we got going on here. Let's see what we got going with this one and let's check it out. So we got it on there and we're kind of looking at some stuff and seeing what kind of options there. But I mean, even what we had on the first one is just killing. So I love it.
That's cool. So did it have the new turbo on it at Streetcar? Oh,
Yep,
sweet.
I put it on. So we had our first event here locally at Muncie Dragway, which is going to be hopping this weekend. We put it on right before that event and went out and raced at my buddy's local event here in their stream radio class, which is just essentially a heads up radial tire, very similar rules to Nate's race actually. And then if we get enough cars, we'll do like an index split, but we just ran it heads up this past weekend and it looked good. So
Awesome.
I said, hey, let's keep it on there and let's keep going.
Yeah.
So we took it out to the Rock.
That's awesome. Well, people can find all these this build stuff that you've got going on here. Hang on, I'm trying to get this damn thing to show your channel. What have I done here? There we go. Yeah, so they can see the full build on the channel. So tell us about the channel, why you started YouTube, all that.
Yeah, so the channel is Team Hybrid Racing on YouTube. Really, I wish I had started it about 10 years ago when I started building all these cars and stuff because I'd be way further ahead. No, it's just fun. I'm enjoying it. My brother-in-law kind of really pushed me to start it about, I think, a year and a half ago or so. We've just been making videos on the builds and racing. Here on the other side is our latest design. It changed a little bit, but it's got hybrid there at the top, the 240, and then the S10 at the bottom there was actually a truck that my brother and I he owned, and we swapped a 5.3 LS in it probably about 10 years ago. It changed hands 4 or 5 times, came back to me, and then I actually recently sold it to a buddy of mine who helps me with my racing a lot. We call it the Chili Pepper S10. So we've got a lot of videos on the channel about that. And then that Mustang there in the middle is something I picked up over winter. And as you guys know, we're doing something a little different. If you just look real close, it says 4.2, not 5.0. Doing a straight 6 Atlas, Chevy Atlas motor swap in it with a 5-speed transmission. So we've got
damn you, Calvin Nelson.
Yeah, Calvin. It's funny. I going through my phone looking at some videos or something. I happened to catch like a 10-second video I took last year at Six Summer of him and his dad's Camaro that has the Atlas, and I just went down a rabbit hole. Like I spent like 4 or 5 straight days researching and watching every video and comment about the Atlas motor. And I said, let's try it out. Let's see. And I've always wanted a new Edge. I kind of just liked them. So I got a stealing deal on that car. And then for the motor, they come in a million different cars. So I bought a running and driving Envoy with like 180,000 miles for $300. Pulled the motor, sold it to the scrapyard for $150. And yeah, kind of progressed from there. So the motor and transmission are in it right now. Built custom motor mounts, and hopefully, kind of hoping maybe I can get back on that here this weekend. Do the transmission mount, and then it's probably going to go on a break for a while because I got like 3 more races coming up.
What's the plan with the Mustang? Are you gonna do a turbo or anything? Are you gonna do racing with it?
Yeah, so we'll definitely put a turbo on it. So they make like under 300 NA, which is funny because that's more than the motors that car came with makes, which is kind of ironic. But no, I mean I gotta have a turbo on stuff. So I plan to put a turbo on it and make like 500 horsepower or something real easy. The transmission's not really rated for that much, much more than that. And then I just want to drive it. I probably will take it to like a Cars and Coffee and do one of the, put the camera under the hood and watch everybody say that it's a 2J or a Vera or something, or have no idea what it is, and just drive it around, have fun. I kind of did it just for some more content on the channel and just some fun stuff. So, but yeah. Team Hybrid Race, we've got, at the time that screenshot 200 videos, there's probably more on there. I think we're about 40 subs away from 2,000 subs. So, awesome. It's slowly growing. It's probably one of the hardest social medias to break through on. But it's fun.
You're telling us.
Yeah, that's the truth.
I can't leave out my dog there, Zeus. He appears in the background of videos, and I always get comments of we want more Zeus content, so I decided to throw him on there. So I actually just got the new shirts printed, so I'll probably make a post later this week and throw those up there. But it's pretty much very similar to that design there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you do a great job, man. It's really fun to watch your stuff. I'm loving the Mustang content. Just because it is so new, and there's not a ton of people that have dove into that engine yet. So you're kind of a big fish, small pond, and obviously with all the other stuff you've done and how successful you've been there, like this will be another fun learning experience for you.
Yeah, it should be fun. I mean, it definitely feels like when I was talking about back in 2011 when I was learning the LS and the V8 and all that stuff, feels similar. Kind of relearning a whole new platform, but it's still a little similar. It's funny, like, some of the, like, it seems like some of the fasteners and stuff and some of the components are similar to the LS. And actually, I think the later years actually shared an ECU with the LS stuff. So, but it's neat. It'll be a little bit slower process I'm used to. Yeah, there's me just sitting in the engine bay. had to do that. So, but it's been fun. And hopefully we can kind of just rotate through the 3 cars of content that's coming out and keep stuff fresh on there. So,
well, when you get to a point of putting a turbo on it or needing airflow, I have trim rings right next to me for new edges already made. So
there we go.
If you ever get to a point of needing one of those, let me know.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's fun. All right, so again, I just wanted some background of who you are and all that kind of stuff, because we needed to like introduce you. Last time you were on, you were one of the perfect 850 passes. We had you and Chris Mary on, and I think a lot of times we lose folks in that. We don't give them an opportunity to tell the story and talk about all the fun stuff they do. So I do want to ask a few questions that are kind of I would say standard podcasting questions anymore, because we all got to know. So I'm gonna let Eric run through these questions.
Yeah. So what do you have as a daily driver?
Well, I work from home, so I don't really daily drive much. But I have I picked up a few years ago when we started going back to the office here and there. I have an Acura TX.
Nice.
That I drive, and then I've got my Silverado 1500, which after this weekend borrowing my buddy's diesel and how easy it pulled my trailer through the mountains, we'd probably be upgrading that at some point.
There you go.
Yeah, that would be tough, because I'm sure that Silverado would have got all it wanted.
I took it to Bristol one year to go to Streetcar Takeover, and it was atrocious through the mountains. It was. Yeah, I'm glad it worked out that I was able to snag his truck for the weekend, because it felt like it drove itself there. So now I'm like, oh, I need that.
Yeah, right. Favorite law enforcement interaction story?
Well, I'm sure we've all got a bunch, and there's a couple I probably won't mention. But when I graduated high school, I used my graduation money to buy a 1990 Eagle Talon that was not running and in multiple parts. It was primered and didn't have bumpers, glass, hood, nothing. And I brought it home to my parents' house because I hadn't moved away to college yet. The moment I got it running, my buddy and I jumped in it and went to literally 5 blocks away down the street, and we got pulled over.
Did it have bumpers or anything on it, or was it still?
I don't think it did. I mean, I'd be lucky if it had the glass window in it. The town I lived in had like SUV police vehicles, and to be honest, he was behind me and his lights were right in my mirror, so I kind of got over and sped up real quick, and just I could see it was nighttime, And that's why he pulled me over. He was like, oh, it's a bit of aggressive driving.
Yep.
Luckily, he let me go. I told him, I was like, we just got it started. I just wanted to drive it around the block. I wasn't trying to do anything wrong.
Nice.
That's awesome.
All right, couple more questions. Favorite car movie?
Oh, favorite car movie. I mean, right now in my life, it's probably Cars because my son likes it and we watch it, so it's a little bit different. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got their own personal favorite. I think if you said something, some people would be like, wow, you're crazy. And then other people would be, I mean, it's hard to not say, like the original Fast and Furious, just because the time frame that I got into cars.
Right.
I like Gone in 60 Seconds. Then you got all the classics. I actually recently just watched Two-Lane Blacktop not too long ago, which I hadn't seen, which is interesting to me because
it's really not that good.
I don't know. Yeah, I felt like if I said that right now, I'd get hard and feathered. But I got to the end of it and I was just like, I'm not so sure.
Bro, I wanted to punch somebody at the end of that movie. I was like, what? What just happened?
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt. So
yeah. Yep. You're in good company here because I feel the same.
Nice.
If that car wasn't so cool, that movie wouldn't be so cool.
Right. Yeah.
Last question here. When you're out on a drag and drive, what is your favorite road trip snack?
Oh, so Juddy couldn't be on. He's my co-pilot and he helps me at the track. He was there this weekend. I mean, we're big on beef jerky because it kind of just keeps you going. But I would say our other is probably like Nerds Clusters. We've got a big old bag of those this weekend on the way back, and they're pretty good.
Yeah, those are dangerous, man. Dangerous.
Yeah, they are. He got one of the big bags and then just had it in the center console. I'm just sitting there eating them.
Yeah. Hours later, you're like, did I just have 2,300 calories of clusters?
Right. No, 100%. But yeah, I'm driving. I think we get the little beef jerky packets from like Costco or something. That way you just, because you forget. I mean, I try to book hotels on the drag and drives that have breakfast. That way I make sure we at least get something. But I mean, you know how it is. The class I run, I'm going to be there all day. You know? So because of that, we kind of lunch is a crapshoot. So we're eating breakfast at the hotel, and then we're not eating another meal until 5, 6 o'clock at night if we're lucky.
Yep.
I think what Mike and I usually do is we'll snag like the prepackaged muffins or granola bars when we're leaving the hotel in the morning, stuff those in our bag, because when you do remember to grab something, you at least have something quick that you can eat while you're running around.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's one of those things, and I'm bad about it at the track too. So
Jay said we're out of the hotel before they start breakfast.
Man, those guys are crazy. All right, well, hang tight with us. I want to thank WAF Racing for their contributions to the Drag Driver Pete family here and all this kind of stuff. And then I want to also move into the second part where we're going to talk about some of the experiences you had this weekend at Streetcar Bragging Rights. So Performer Built. Eric, I'll let you read this one. Sorry, I just stepped all over you tonight, man. I'm sorry.
You're all good. Performer Built is the official transmission builder of Drag Driver Pete. At Performer Built Transmissions, their goal is to engineer and build the toughest transmissions on the planet. Performer Built doesn't just rebuild transmissions, they systematically re-engineer each model to eliminate OEM flaws and to achieve the highest levels of performance. That's why they say their transmissions are not just built, they are Performa-built.
That's right. Love Ryan. I was talking to him and Tim Blythe yesterday through text. They're trying to figure out some stuff to get Tim's Spitfire to handle all the abuse that they go in. For the guys that are just coming in here, we have Jeremy Ortiz on, Team Hybrid Racing, winner of Streetcar Bragging Rights Shootout Wild Class, and then second quickest class in the Streetcar Bragging Rights Shootout class is crazy. So we just went through like what his car is, who he is, all that kind of stuff. So you can go back and watch the WAF Racing part. And then now we're going to talk about this event because, dude, there's so many questions I have. I hate myself for not going. I literally do. Flights were like $500, and I was like, man, with all the travel we have going on in June, I just couldn't make myself pull the trigger. So big shout out to Nate Prater for putting on one of the coolest events, it looked like from home anyways, that you could have. So streetcar bragging rights, man, tell us a little bit. We're going to talk about why you went, who went with you, who you raced, all that kind of stuff. So the first question I have is why did you go? Why'd you go to this race?
Yeah, so I mean, Nate's reached out a few times because I think this is his, I want to say, third or fourth year doing this event. And it's something I've wanted to do, but again, kind of getting that far out from home with my setup is a little tricky. Yeah. But the reason I went this year and was able to make it happen was Cravin Cars comes to Indy early May, and they have for the last 2 years done a streetcar shootout, which I've done both years. And I think both years I've made it to the last three or four cars, depending on how it kind of broke out. So it's been great, and I always get my butt kicked by some really fast car. Kevin Smith beat me 1 year. And then James Hall was driving McFlurry last year and got me too. But up until that point, I was just doing it. But unfortunately this year, they didn't have the class. It's always a little tricky for them to fit it in between the other racing that's going on. And I mean, it's a big show. It's a 2-day event they have here, and it's a lot going on. So I was a little bummed that didn't happen because it was going to be my first event for the year. And I made a post just like, sorry guys, we won't be there this year. And then and my awesome people over at Driven reached out and said, hey, we're going to bragging rights. We should go. Let's make it happen. So I was like, all right, let me figure out if I can clear the calendar, what we got going on, and how the heck do I get there. So originally we were going to take both the trailer and the truck of my buddy's because he's got a 53 footer with the apartment in the front of it. But he ended up having some stuff come up, but he was able to let us borrow the truck. So we left at 5:15 a.m. Thursday morning, and we pulled into the track at 4:15 p.m. Thursday afternoon. So 11 hours to get there for us driving.
Dude, that's brutal.
Yeah,
that is brutal. And Thursday was testing, right? They did testing Thursday.
Let's see here, Thursday. Yeah, I think they had so it was roll racing. So they had a Wednesday. Right. They had like a buy-in, extra testing, and then Thursday was roll racing. But I think they were able to get through it early, so they opened up a test session Thursday night if you wanted to pay in for that and get some additional testing.
Yeah.
But I had just raced, less than a week before at my local track. And after the race, I brought it home and went through the car, top to bottom, like I pretty much do after every race. And I felt pretty confident that, we were going to go. So, and with 3 qualifiers, I was like, that's more than I normally get. So I was like, we'll figure it out. So we just kind of set up Thursday, watched some of the testing, and then this is my first time racing out on the East Coast. And I had a lot of people that were coming that I've only talked to on Facebook,
Yeah.
We've been friends for a long time, but I've never been over there, or they've never come over this way. So it was cool just to kind of talk to people and stuff. So I have to give a huge shout out to Driven. I mean, you guys know how awesome those people are.
Yep.
Bill and Ashley and the folks are awesome. So
there's some of the cool folks out there. And man, they love it. They love racing of any kind. He's always talking about some Volkswagen stuff or whatever. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. Well, what is it that you like most about streetcar bragging rights?
I mean, off the top, I thought I just liked how big of an event it was. I mean, you guys know
500 cars.
Yeah, it was crazy. I've done, countless streetcar takeovers. I've done a handful of drag and drives now and a lot of local stuff. I've gone to LS Fest, which we know that's huge. But yeah, the car count, and just I'd never been to this track either, which was really cool. I always try to make it like a bucket list to get to one new track every year. So check that off this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Super smooth. Track was, I think like 2 years ago, they redid like concrete for the first 8th mile or something.
Oh,
and then they got these like a hill on one side that's all concrete, like seats. I don't know who's footing that bill, but
that had to be,
have
dude,
some
I
money for
can't
concrete
imagine the concrete bill for the stands there.
Yeah.
And hey, how about the like 8-foot tall fence? Like,
yeah. I thought I was at a NASCAR race or something, or over here at the circle track here at Indy. I was like, oh, okay, there's a big old fence there. And it's funny because I think Friday morning we hopped in the golf cart and just kind of walked around or drove around the pits, and we ended up. I always like to check the shutdown, just kind of see how far it is, where it is. I'm telling you, I think from the starting line to the end of the actual pavement or asphalt, it's a mile long. Not shutdowns all the way, but it's really long. And I said I did a little video and put it on my social media. I said, I'm pretty sure this track holds for no prep events at the same time because of how long it is.
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, guys are leaving the starting line and mid track same time.
Yeah, exactly right. I think they do like a big dig or die is what they call it, a big no prep event out there. So there were stands at the end. So I know they had something going on down there.
Yeah, interesting. That's cool.
So yeah, no, it's just the size of it is just massive. But honestly, I think the biggest thing is like the attention to the racers, which is awesome because I mean, without racers, there is no event,
Yeah,
exactly.
So I mean, just we got these. I mean, when you qualified, you got these little, coins that say your class and stuff. Yeah, look at that. You're already on right there. So just that and just all the extras. I think all the extra stuff, even as a participant or as a spectator, he's had like VIP section and just all kinds of stuff. It was really cool. They had paratroopers come down during the national anthem and the fireworks at the end of the whole event and in the finals. Every final when the pair went down the track. Big fireworks when you cross the finish line. At least that's what I was told. I couldn't hear anything.
you were past it at that point. That's pretty awesome. And I think it's like that level of detail is what drag racing needs. I mean, we need that next level of thought. And Nate told Wes Buck on the show, I think last week or week before, that he's like, man, we go to so many other style events to see what is out there and what goes on. So it was man, it just looked like it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I obviously questioned is the blind qualifying. Man, walk us through that. Like, is that strange? Did you know what time you ran? Like, did they give you that kind of ET, or like, what were the pins and needles like for that? Did that make you anxious? Like, how did that affect you?
So I had figured out that I was going to be going probably about a month before, right? So, and of course, I made sure looking at the rules, made sure the car fit and et cetera. And then there's the blind qualifying listed on there. So I started asking around like, hey guys, like you guys that have been here before that are friends of mine, like what's the deal? And yeah, so how it works is you get your time. So you know what you ran, but you don't know what anybody else ran. And through each qualifier, it's never stated what the breakout is or where you are or anything. So for like 2 weeks leading up, I'm like, are we going to, the goal was literally to go and make the show. 125 cars in the class and only 64 are getting in it. And you look down the name list and you're like, heavy hitters on here. People I don't know. People I don't know. So you got to go into it. I mean, the whole idea, right, is that to try to get people to run their car fast so they get in.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's that chance. Like if if you're somebody who lays it back and you don't get in, I mean, that's a long drive home.
Right.
That's a long drive home. Ooh. And it's funny because after the first day, we had 2 qualifiers and one left, and everybody's talking to each other and trying to figure out, hey, what'd you run? Who's running this? What do you think this ran? And I don't think anybody had a clue what was going on because I had people over here that were like, oh, 6 cars ran in the 7s and nobody else. And then somebody over here is like, I think breakouts, the cutoff's going to be low 8s. you don't know. It's interesting because you're like, who's making stuff up? Who's being legit about it? I know what I ran. Where are we at with this? So,
and so hang on.
It's wild.
Did they ever post that at all? I didn't see. I don't think I didn't see anywhere the qualifying standings were.
No, I was kind of hoping that we would like after Q3 get like the full, so during the drivers meeting, they kind of said, who was what number. And then, unfortunately the elite class did have like a standard bracket that was printed out that said like who it was and what their time they qualified with was.
Cool.
But I was told that like the system couldn't break it up into 3 other classes because it was all together. So the other ones were handwritten, and to write everybody's name and all their times would have been taken forever. So I haven't seen a full listing. It would be interesting, but I mean, I have a pretty basic idea of where it kind of fell. So.
Yeah. And then, so it broke down the quickest 16, then the next 16, and the next, right? So you had elite, you had wild, which is the class you were in. You had mild, which is appropriately named, and you had daily, which I thought was pretty cool too. So.
Yeah, and I think so. Obviously, elite was heads up. My class ended up being a 782 or a 783 breakout. So on the last 3 classes, the number 1 qualifier gets a 10th added to the breakout. So, which I think that's how Streetcar Takeover does too. It does it as well. A lot of places seem to do that. They give it a little extra. Now, funny enough, our local event here, when he splits it, where the split is, they actually go backwards 1/10. So then it makes it a little harder for the fast guy because now they got the advantage of being, number 1, but they got to slow it down a little bit, right? And then so it brings anybody who's behind a little to that number 2. So there's lots of ways to do it, right? But 783, I've still, even after the event, never been that fast. So
you're like, I'm just gonna hang this thing out.
Yeah, that's kind of how we did. And then I want to say the mile class was 840 breakout. And then I don't know what the daily was, but I want to say it was still in the 8s. Which going into it, I felt like you were going to have a group of 6-second cars and low 7s. And then I felt from 780 or 760 to 850 was just going to be a super tight field. Yeah. I qualified number 6 with an 808, and I think there was 5 guys that were all right next to each other. Yeah. Wow. So Chad knows 864 for daily. I mean, it got close. It got real close. Yeah. And so Q1, I'll start from the top. Q1 was I've got the printouts here. 242 is when I made Q1 on Friday afternoon, and it was awful weather. I mean, you guys watched, ducks races and other stuff. Middle of the day, you see a radio car go down the track. Yeah. I had people. We went A to B. We went right down the track. Read it perfect.
You were one of the only one. Yeah, you're one of the only ones that did it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure for Q1, if they had just called her right there, I would have been in I don't know, 8th position or something based on what we ran. And then we got another run in the evening, and we pretty much left it because the tune that we were running was what we had ran at Muncie the week before, but the weather was so different that it slowed the car down, and we had to figure a few things out, trying to sort that out. So we were able to go a little faster, and then I think a few other people at night got down, so I felt like it was getting close, but there was still a lot of cars that I expected that were going to go quick, didn't have it.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. Just real quick, Q2, people would spin off the line or 60 feet out and then let the car gather back up and then get right back in it because they're like, man, we're going to be out of this thing. I'm not going to be able to. Yeah.
My slip says that Q2 was 1:59:57 a.m.
Wow.
It was late. It was late. So, because on Friday, in between our Q1 and Q2, they had a street index shootout. So they had I think it was 120 something cars there too. Yep. They went over to the big track and did a little cruise there, and then they came back, and then as far as I understand, it was split on every half second index, and you pretty much picked your index, and then it was kind of almost a index bracket, or I think maybe called it open comp. I'm not as familiar, but like
that's what Derek told me. I was like,
yeah,
I don't know,
like a 950 versus an 11.0 car, and that's how they paired up. But it ended up going to the end with 2 10.0 cars, which I was telling the guys at Driven when it started. I said those 2 guys are going to the finals, and that's who it was. I don't remember the Corvette's name, but Jimmy King. Him and I have raced at streetcar takeovers a lot, not in the same class, but a lot. And it's just something about those purple cars. They just seem to get it done.
Yeah, he was deadly, man. He was deadly. Yeah. The stuff I watched. There was a lot of cars. And then I think John Mankey, I think I said earlier, went like 8500. It was awesome, like on a
nice.
850 dialer. So it was crazy. It was a lot of good racing to watch for sure.
Oh yeah, which was cool because there were, I was still able to watch some racing. A lot of times on like a 1-day event, everything's so fast paced. I don't really watch anything at all. So in between trying to not have a heat stroke, I got to watch some racing, so that was cool.
That's awesome.
And then Friday came around and it was like, all right, everybody's either going to go for it and get it or not, So I made a literally in the lanes decision to change a tune just a little bit based on the weather, and I got the 808, which is pretty much the fastest I had been on the combo. Was the week before was a 799. So I mean, it was it was right on par given the weather. I was like, well, we're just going to let the chips fall and see what happens. And then we learned it was a 783, and I was like, woohoo, we ain't been there, and we ain't been there in bad weather either. So we'll see what happens.
Wow.
Well, you talked a little bit about some of the struggles with qualifying, obviously, the timing and the weather and that, but was there any other struggles, and kind of what things did you learn through qualifying, and then where did you end up placing for qualifying?
I mean, we didn't touch the car once the whole event. We made 7 total passes, whether it was, dead middle of the day or I guess dead middle of the night. They all went A to B, and we didn't touch the car. We put fuel in it, packed the chute, downloaded the logs and made our little tweaks then and there. I made 1 shock adjustment. My buddies were there from Import Drag Solutions with John's Wild 240. I'm sure you guys have seen that with the Nissan V8 in it. So I had those guys there kind of figuring out what we needed to do. Cause like I said, we were in a territory trying to go faster that I hadn't been before. So I was like, all right, well, I know how to make it change in the tune, but I got to make sure that the suspension is going to do it too. And I'll be honest, I want the car to go down every time. I don't want to lose it right on the line. So I wanted to have everything working. But yeah, we didn't have any. The car was great.
That's cool.
But that all goes back to, and I tell people this all the time, it all goes back into all the stuff that happens back here at home. Going through the car and testing all the time, that's just part of it. You get out what you put in, kind of thing. And it worked out for us. So yeah, that was it.
Nice.
And well, let's talk about the eliminations, man. Who all did you have to go through, and what that lineup look like?
Yeah. So the class 16 cars, like I said, 783, I think it was, cut off on the index. And in the Q1, there was a wide variety of cars in the class, which was cool to see. I think there was a couple of the new Supras were in there, which I really hadn't seen any at racing before, except for out at World Cup. We had I can't even think of all the cars there, but there was a good selection of cars. And somehow through 4 rounds, I raced Mustang every single time, which typically seems to be the case. I don't know why, but every time I race Mustang. So round 1, I wrote the names down because I didn't know a lot of folks. I drew Andrew Sheridan, I think. It was a newer Mustang. I don't know what year. Black. I think it was a Coyote turbo car. we ran that down, and I want to say, I'm trying to think about it. I think he had an issue with the converter. Finally gave up on him on there. So we were able to just, cut the light and go and do that. And then brought it back around, and we had to race. I mentioned earlier about friends online that I hadn't met yet. Anthony Cook has a beautiful SN95. And we got to line up, and it was going to, I know for sure it was going to be a really good race. And I don't know, I guess maybe like just some racing luck was on my side, but I would much rather have raced him anyways. Unfortunately for him, I think his trans brake didn't hold, and he went through the beams. The weird thing was, though, is I didn't see the tree go red with the light. So I made a pass, like we're racing.
Oh man. Yeah.
Because I didn't, it was weird. It didn't seem like the tree went red. And he qualified higher than me. I was 6. So I was number 21 out of 125 cars. Back up and answer that question. But I was number 6 in the, or maybe that was 22. I don't know. However the math works out. And then I think Anthony was I think he was number 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
And then E3 comes around, and I raced, I think his name was Darren, another newer Mustang. I'm assuming it was a Turbo Coyote car again. We lined up and we left, and I was kind of out front, and that was actually probably was going to be my fastest pass. Wow. When you're on the index, if you're out in front, you got a little room at the top. So we had a little room to pull her back in, and took that one. And at that point I was ecstatic. This is late into the night, and we're in the finals, and it's a 2,000 runner up and 5,000 for the winner. So at this point, it's already money's there to get back home, right?
Yeah.
And then the finals, I met up with Michael. I think it's Chambly. Has another newer Mustang. I ended up looking him up, and that car is actually really fast. So I don't know if he had a little bit of trouble in qualifying, or maybe he just kind of pulled it back a little bit, but I believe that car has gone like bottom 7s, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wow.
So I knew that car, he wasn't going to have any problem running that number. I knew it. But we lined up, and I cut like a 034 or something on the my best light of the whole week, and just stayed out front. And that wind light came on, and I've got a video in my car. I was actually looking at what we captured, because I'm going to put the video together for the YouTube at some point. And I was pretty happy about that.
I would say so, dude. Yeah. There's a big difference in $2,000 and $5,000.
There is. Yeah. So there it is.
So you got some money and a big trophy. Yeah.
That's a big trophy.
Yeah.
It's a monster. I brought it home, and I told my son I had a surprise for him, and I think it's as tall as he is.
That's cool, man. Yeah, he did a great job, man. That thing looks amazing. And to have big checks is always cool.
Oh yeah.
I would think that the streetcar shootout or streetcar bragging rights shootout wild winter, that's perfect for the shop. Shop walls, that's amazing looking out there. That's cool, man.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I've actually never won a big check before, so that was kind of cool too. I always joke about it. My friends all know I mean, obviously everybody wants some money. That's always a nice thing. But I really I'm kind of a goofball about trophies. So just because it's for me, it's just, it takes you back to memories,
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, by the way, Chad, he brought us over to his pit area on, I think it was Friday night for brisket. It was good. No, you don't want it on me, Chad. You got that perfected. I don't even know. I don't. Yeah. On that.
Yeah. Take some of that 5,000, buy some brisket for him to cook. That'd be the best.
Right. There we go. Yeah. No kidding. Yeah. I don't even know what I'm going to do with it right now.
Yeah. Oh, dude, we know it's going to go back into cars, man. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
awesome.
For sure. But yeah, I was tired. I think we put the car in the winter circle at like 4 a.m. or something.
Oh man.
golly, dude, that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a long, long day. And then we slept for like 3 hours and drove home. And it took 12 hours to get home the next day.
Oh jeez.
Man,
You're probably like so tired, but then like so hyped up from winning. Like
Yeah.
it had to be like all the emotions trying to drive home.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it was just like, again, I mean, it wasn't even on my schedule. I have like 10 events on my schedule this year. This wasn't even on my schedule.
Wow.
We go all the way out there hoping we qualify and then come home. So, and we had to do it for, we had to do it drag and drive cars. So
Yeah.
Well, it just goes to show that,
Yep.
you got to show up to even have a chance. And obviously it worked out well for you. Made it all the way to the finals and took home that W. So super cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. For that class, you guys have to, is it like drag and drive kind of rules? Like is it, headlights, taillights, blinkers?
Yeah, I think it was kind of drag and drive ish rules, but not nearly as
not as tight.
So I think it was charging system, cooling system, headlights, taillights. We did have insurance and registration, which was checked. And you couldn't push the car up to the lanes and stuff and haul it back unless you had like a breakdown or something. But so yeah, street car-ish rules, but lenient enough that there were some fast
hitters in there like Jim Braun running
house.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because Jim and I, when we won, we're like, man, if it wasn't so late, we wanted to take the cars with the trophies and drive them to the Waffle House that was like 20 miles away. But we were just so dead. Ugh. I wish it had ended at like 1 a.m. because I know both of us would have taken that, and that would have been epic sitting there in a Waffle House bench with the trophies sitting next to it.
Yeah, that's Waffle House is the best, dude.
Yeah. So maybe next time.
Right. Well, I want to ask you, what did you think of the event after you got home, after you've had a couple of days to kind of kick it around a little bit? What are some things that Nate did right?
Yeah. No, I mean, again, I think it kind of comes back to just a lot of the extra stuff was really neat. I'm sure as a spectator, that was cool to see some of that stuff. But as a racer, you just felt, like Nate wanted you to be there at his event and wants you to come back, just that's all awesome. The extra stuff is just, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I think, I know there were some people that were like, oh, we raced so late into the night and this and that. And, my take on it is if you want your event to be, top tier, you got to grow it over the years. Mm-hmm. And I think, in my personal opinion, that it's now to the point where like this event's name is out there and people want to be part of it. And so now I think Nate has an opportunity where he can kind of start to maybe bring in that rule package, tighten up the class where it's like, you're still going to have the elite of the elite cars there, but you can just make it an event where everybody wants to go,
Yeah. And it's not something that, it's kind of like World Cup. Like you got to prove that, you just do the spot. Yeah.
It's kind of what we were talking about. We were talking about how, step back a handful of years with World Cup and they were racing way into that. And now, there's a select number of spots and you got to go so fast to be able to even get in there. And, I think just how the top tier events become.
Yeah.
And I think this one's already there. It was a blast. It was a blast.
And to have 125 cars for 64 spots in that, and then have, I think it was like 128 for the streetcar index. I know probably some of those cars crossed over, but dude, that's a bunch. That's 250 cars just there.
Yeah. There was 50 stick shift, and I think 32 got in, 2 classes of 16.
Wow. Man, that's awesome. Yeah, I like what Corey's talking about here. I'll talk to Nate and see if we get on-site Waffle House. They do food trucks. I had never really thought about that, but that's pretty genius.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be legit. That'd be good. Something to eat before you try to finally fall asleep.
Well, or before you go into the finals at 3 a.m.
Yeah, that might make you a little sleepy though. You got to be
Yeah,
on
well.
point for those finals.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Well, Jeremy, what's up next for you guys with your race program and also with YouTube?
Yeah. So like I said, I'm hoping maybe I can get back to the Mustang, sneak a little bit of garage time in there, but I'm very busy. I have 2 kids that are 3 and 6 months, so
Yeah.
they keep me busy. And a big shout out to my wife who supports my racing and handles everything back home when we can't all go. I'm hoping in the future I can get the kiddos out there a bit more. But yeah, so maybe work on the Mustang a bit. Obviously, I'm going to go through the 240 top to bottom after this race. And we have on the calendar Sick on the Green. So that is in 2 weeks, I think. That's the plan to go down there.
I think it's next weekend. I think it's next weekend.
Yeah, next weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's really like everything's really stacked for me right now, and then there's a bit of a open time, and then it gets kind of stacked again. Nice. Yeah, we're trying to Sick on the Green. I thought about doing the 860, kind of doing some prep for SICK Summer, kind of getting ready for the 850. But I'll tell you that 530 little gangster stuff is that's $10,000.
Yeah.
And that's very tempting as well, especially coming off of this, because we've got some data for something like that for sure. So that'll be that. And then as soon as we get back from that, another run through the car and pack up and head out for six very long days of SICK Summer.
Oh man.
And I don't want another 10,000th spread second place.
Dude, we don't either. We want it to be closer.
That's fine as long as I'm in first.
As long as you're in the top, yeah. Man, yeah, the 850 stuff is one of my favorite classes. Everybody knows that. But watching you guys go back and forth like that was amazing.
It was brutal is what it was.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly what you're saying. You're one of the last cars to leave there most every day because shit, Chris Mary may walk up there and bust off something that, then you got to go make another pass.
Yeah.
Then he's got to make a pass. Then you got to make a pass.
That's pretty much what happened. And I mean, that's why on the last day I talked to him, I was like, hey, like this could come down to the last pass. Let's run them together. And we did. Unfortunately, I spun and it was over, but we fixed that. So we won't have that problem this year. I promise you that we will not have that issue. So we're going to do that. And then I don't know, that might, my mind will change 100 times, but that we might call it on SICK Summer and try something different. Maybe SICK Week. So I only have so much vacation, so I got to pick and choose, but we'll see. I'd really like to get down there. Plus, 67 degrees or whatever it is, and hoodies sounds a lot better than
then you
95 degrees at SICK Summer. If I'm being honest, you guys know I always preach that SICK Summer is harder than SICK Week, but
Jay said you need to skip hotel breakfast and get there earlier.
Well, we'll see how things play out this year. There was a lot of only getting one passes down there at SICK Week, so I don't know. Things are going to be interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know how that's going to go.
Well, and that's another event that really is kind of getting to that level, like you were talking about earlier, to where they could really kind of have a cutoff. Hey, we're only going to, if you can't do this, probably going to need to stay home. The hard part is for drag and drive stuff, like especially with the DYO class, you really can't say that. Like, hey, we want the, who can go out and win bracket races or win, a tuning game there. So it's going to be interesting to see how the next 3 or 4 years of SICK Week plays out.
Yeah, certainly. And that's it's just the natural progression, I think, of events that do well. That's just how it comes. And speaking of DYO and drag and drives, so we're bringing the S10 to SICK Summer. So we'll have that car there as well.
So 240 and the S10? Yeah,
we'll have them both. So we ran it last week at that Muncie race, the opener, on the 1220 class. First pass, it ran 1234. I made 2 adjustments in the tune and it went 1223. So she's ready.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, listen, tell everybody where they can find you, and then we gotta wrap this up.
Yeah. So I mean, I said Jeremy Ortiz, Facebook. Team Hybrid Racing is the YouTube channel. We got a lot of stuff on there, a lot of builds, a lot of fun things. I'm always open to ideas if anybody wants to see something specific or explained. I'm pretty open on a lot of stuff I do. I don't really hide a lot of secrets on my program. And then on Instagram, it's 240 Ortiz, so 240 RTIZ. Just because that's how Instagram is. You got to have some cheeky name, right? And that's about it. I don't really have enough time to delve into anything else. I got enough going on already.
I hear that. Well, man, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. I can't wait to hang out at Six Summer.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we'll be looking for the content. I know you getting back from there, catching up on sleep, catching up on family stuff. It's hard to sit down and edit for 6 hours. But man, we'll be looking for the streetcar bragging rights video soon.
I say it'll probably be next week, but I know me. I'd like to. I enjoy the editing part too. It just takes a while. And I see Nate up there. Appreciate it, Nate. Awesome event. And I'm going to do everything I can to come back and defend that title. One thing I will say real quick is on the finish line was every year's winner with the year and all the classes. And I think when we looked at it, there had not been a repeat winner in any of the years. Now including this year, I'm not sure.
Wow.
So maybe we can change that.
That's cool. Yeah, man. Well, if anybody can, it's you, dude.
We're gonna try.
That's awesome. All right, we're gonna put you backstage, man. Stay with us for just a second. I do want to talk to you about a couple of things after this.
Yeah,
all right,
thanks. Sure. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
All right, man. We're a little over tonight. Sorry. Appreciate everybody hanging out and doing this with us, man. He's a great guest. He's been on before talking about 850 stuff at Six Summer. Obviously one of the heavy hitters in that class for sure. And now, I mean, one of the, he's like a household name now.
Right.
Come out there winning streetcar bragging rights shootout. It's pretty awesome. So, all right, dude, lead us out of here, man.
All right. Well, again, appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. It's been a great show. Lots of great conversations. Thanks to Cravin Cars. Thanks to Jeremy for jumping on. Thanks to you guys all for watching, commenting, everything you guys do to keep us going forward with this. And of course, again, can't do this without all of our sponsors. Summit Racing Equipment, Deechworks, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Howard's Cam, J-Wire Solution, WAF Racing, Performabuilt Transmissions, Car Chains 3D, Power Tube TV, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk. If you guys are buying parts, please make sure to check these guys out. And with that, we will see you guys on our next episode.
Yep. See you guys.